let's talk about product rule. We're going to do very basics of product rule with this one. Then next time we'll do a little bit more in depth when we include sine and cosine and tangent and e's and ln's. And then we'll learn chain rule and combine all that stuff with chain rule too. So product rule is something that you have to use whenever you're taking the derivative of two things that are being multiplied together. So I'm going to write it out a couple different ways. Let's say y equals f of x times g of x. Those are just my two things that are being multiplied together. This might be x squared and this might be cosine. This might be x plus 3 and this is e to the x. This might be x plus 3 and x plus 5. Just two things with an x in it that are being multiplied together. The derivative of that would be the second thing rewritten exactly as it is times the derivative of the first thing plus, and then you flip-flop it, the first thing written exactly as it is times the derivative of the second thing. What I'll usually say is if you call that 1 and that 2, product rule is the second thing times the derivative of the first thing plus the first thing times the derivative of the second thing. So 2d1, 1d2, 2112. That order will be the same as quotient rule, except quotient rule is going to have a subtraction sign there. So I know when you're adding, the order doesn't matter, but if you remember it in this order, that will help you with quotient rule down the road. So, a few quick examples. Let's say y equals x squared plus 3x times 4x. Now we know how to do that problem without product rule. So if we do it with product rule, we should get the same thing. So without product rule, what I would do would be to distribute it and say, okay, that's 4x to the third plus 12x squared, and then take the derivative and get 12x squared plus 24x. So if I use product rule, I better get that answer or product rule is screwed up. So if I'm doing product rule, I'm going to call this my first part and this my second part. It's 2d1 plus 1d2. So the second thing times the derivative of the first thing, which is 2x plus 3, plus the first thing times the derivative of the second thing, which is 4. And then I would need to clean this up a bit. So multiply through and combine like terms, and I should end up with this. So this would be 8x squared plus 12x plus 4x squared plus 12x again, and all I'm doing is distributing there. And if I combine those, I do get 12x squared plus 24x. So it does work. Hopefully that kind of convinces you, oh yeah, product rule is going to get me to the same place as this. Now in general, if you had this problem on a test or on the AP tests, I probably wouldn't use product rule. I would just jump right to this. I think that's easier. I think it's faster. I think you're less likely to screw up because there's less distributing and math involved. But for tonight, because you're trying to learn product rule, I want you to do all the problems that I give you using product rule, even though that's not what you might normally do in the first, like in general. Let's practice it, because eventually this will be combined with other things and you won't have a choice. So you definitely need to know how to use the rule. So let's say y equals, let's say 4x times cosine of x. So like in this case, you have to use product rule. You can't multiply through because 4x times cosine of x doesn't simplify to anything except for 4x times cosine of x. So I'm going to use product rule. I'm going to call this my 1 and this my 2, or this is my f and this is my g if you prefer to think about it with the g and the f way, whichever works for you is good. So I would take the second thing, or the g, and multiply by the derivative of the first thing, or the f, plus the first thing, or the f, times the derivative of the second thing, or the g. And that's an answer. It's a correct answer, but what the AP test will very often do is look at, okay, I've got these two chunks here. What can I reverse distribute, like pull out of both of those? In this case, the answer would be a 4. And then the answer they would probably put would look something like that. So they're both correct. You need to be able to recognize they're the same. So in the case of a multiple choice situation on the AP test, you would realize, okay, yeah, that's the same as that. All right. Let's say x squared minus 4 times 2x plus 3. Again, in general, I would just FOIL that and then take the derivative from there. Because I'm trying to practice product rule and get you guys to learn product rule, we're going to go through it with product rule and practice it that way. So I'm going to call this my first thing, this my second thing. And then I want 2d1 plus 1d2, 2d1 plus 1d2, 2 derivative of the first plus 1 derivative of the second. So the second thing times the derivative of the first thing. The derivative of that's 2x. So this is like your 2 and your d1 plus the first thing, so you just rewrite it, times the derivative of the second thing, which is just 2. And then here I would want you to distribute there, distribute there, and combine the like terms. So 6x squared plus 6x minus 8 would be your derivative. And then I could ask you to do anything with that. I could say find the slope at x equals 3. And you would plug in 3. I could say find the tangent line, find the normal line, find horizontal tangent lines. We can do all that stuff we've been doing. It's just the derivative part changes. All right, so that hopefully is enough for tonight. So try the 6 problems that are on Schoology, and we'll check through it tomorrow, and then we'll go a little deeper into this.